Hello everyone, I'm here with my video on the sample paper of class 12, term 1. This is the latest MCQ pattern. I hope this video will be helpful for you. Let us quickly go through the general instructions. The question paper contains 3 sections. Section A, that is the reading section, has got 18 questions. You have to attempt a total of 14 questions. Section B, that is the writing skills section, has got 12 questions. You have to attempt a total of 10 questions. Section C, that is the literature portion, has got 30 questions. You have to attempt a total of 26 questions. All questions carry equal marks. There is no negative marking. Let us start with the reading section. Question 1 to 10 are based on the given text. Read the text carefully and answer the questions. Punctuality is a necessary habit in public affairs of a civilized society. Without it, nothing could ever be brought to a conclusion. Everything would be in a state of chaos. Only in a sparsely populated rural community is it possible to disregard it. In the ordinary living, there can be some tolerance of unpunctuality. The intellectual who is working on some abstruse problem has everything coordinated and organized for the matter in hand. He is therefore forgiven if late for the dinner party. But people are often reproached for unpunctuality when their only fault is cutting fine. It is hard for energetic, quick-minded people to waste time, so they are often tempted to finish a job before setting out to keep an appointment. If no accidents occur on the way, like punctured tires, diversion of traffic, sudden descent of fog, they will be on time. They are often more industrious, useful citizens than those who are never late. The over-punctual can as much be a trial to others as the unpunctual. The guest who arrives half an hour too soon is the greatest nuisance. Some friends of my family had this irritating habit. The only thing to do was to ask them to come half an hour later than the other guests. Then they arrived just when we wanted them. If you are catching a train, it is always better to be comfortably early than even a fraction of a minute too late. Although being early man mean wasting a little time, this will be less than if you miss the train and have to wait an hour or so for the next one. And you avoid the frustration of arriving at the very moment when the train is drawing out of the station and being unable to get on it. An even harder situation is to be on a platform in a good time for a train and still to see it go off without you. Such an experience befell a certain young girl the first time she was traveling alone. She entered the station 20 minutes before the train was due, since her parents had impressed upon her that it would be unforgivable to miss it and cause the friends with whom she was going to stay to meet her. She gave her luggage to a porter and showed him her ticket. To her horror, he said that she was 2 hours too soon. She felt in her handbag for a piece of paper on which her father had written down all the details of the journey and gave it to the porter. He agreed that a train did not come into station at the time on the paper and that it did stop, but only to take on water, not passengers. The girl asked to see a timetable, feeling sure that her father could not have made such a mistake. The porter went to fetch one and arrived back with the station master, who produced it with a flourish and pointed out a microscope O besides the time of arrival of the train at his station. This little O indicated that the train only stopped for water. Just at that moment the train came into the station. The girl, tears streaming down her face, begged to be allowed to slip into the guard's van. But the station master was adamant. Rules could not be broken, and she had to watch that train disappear towards her destination while she was left behind. So that was the passage. Now let us see the questions. Why, according to the author, is it better to be at the platform before the train arrives? A part, it's better than watching the train leave in front of your eyes. B part, it can help to avoid frustrations of work. C part, it's good to waste some time in life. D part, you will have time to relax at the station. The correct answer according to the passage is it's better than watching the train leave in front of your eyes. Question 2. How early did the girl reach the station of her train's actual time of departure? A part, 2 hours before. B part, 20 minutes before. C part, just on time of the train. D part, 2 minutes before. The correct answer is A part, 2 hours before. Question 3. Who clarified it to the girl that her father had made a mistake? A part, her mother. B part, timetable. C part, porter. D part, station master. So the correct answer is station master, that is option D. Question 4. Why the little girl did have tears streaming down her face? A part, she had to watch the train come in front of her eyes. B part, she wanted to reach her destination at the earliest. C part, the station master let her board the train. D part, her early coming made no difference. The correct answer is she wanted to reach her destination at the earliest. Question 5. Find a word opposite in meaning to clear or obvious in the passage. A part, community. B part, industrious. C part, diversion. D part, abstruse. The correct answer is abstruse. Question 6. Find a word similar in meaning to display in the passage. A part, nuisance. B part, flourish. C part, fetch. D part, timetable. In the passage, we have the word flourish, which also means to display. Question 7. Find a word similar in meaning to inflexible in the passage. A part, abstruse. B part, adamant. C part, over-punctual. D part, energetic. The correct answer is option B, adamant. Question 8. Why is punctuality necessary in a civilized society? A part, to bring things to a conclusion. B part, to avoid chaos. C part, to manage public affairs. D part, to cause disregard. The correct answer is option B, to avoid chaos. Question 9. What is the danger of leaving the bare minimum of time for appointments? A part, you will feel comfortable. B part, you will not have to wait. C part, you will be to avoid frustrations. D part, you will be wasting time. Option C is the correct answer. You will be to avoid frustrations. Question 10. The over-punctual can be as much a trial to others as the unpunctual. Option A, there is hardly any difference between unpunctual and over-punctual. B part, he believes that the early bird gets the worm. C part, he is wasting as much time as the unpunctual ones. D part, he has everything coordinated and organized. Option C is the correct answer. He is wasting as much time as the unpunctual ones. Question number 11 to 18 are based on the given text. Read the text carefully and answer the questions. The cotton textile industry. The cotton textile industry is one of the traditional industries of India. In ancient and medieval times, it used to be only a cottage industry. India was famous worldwide for the production of muslin, a very fine variety of cotton cloth, calicoes, chintz, and other different varieties of fine cotton cloth. The development of this industry in India was due to several factors. One, it is a tropical country and cotton is the most comfortable fabric for a hot, humid climate. Second, a large quantity of cotton was grown in India. Abundant skilled labor required for this industry was available in this country. In fact, in some areas, the people were producing cotton textiles for generations and transferred the skill from one generation to the other and in the process perfected their skills. Initially, the British did not encourage the development of the indigenous cotton textile industry. They exported raw cotton to their mills in Manchester and Liverpool and brought back the finished products to be sold in India. This cloth was cheaper because it was produced at a mass scale in factories in the UK as compared to the cottage-based industry in India. In 1854, the first modern cotton mill was established in Mumbai. This city had several advantages as a cotton textile manufacturing center. It was very close to the cotton producing areas of Gujarat and Maharashtra. Raw cotton used to be brought to Mumbai port to be transported to England. Therefore, cotton was available in Mumbai city itself. Moreover, Mumbai even then was the financial center and the capital needed to start an industry was available there. As a large town providing employment opportunities attracted labor in large numbers. Let us go through this graph. Give few seconds to read the graph. The bottom, the x-axis shows the years and the y-axis shows the million square meters of the mill sector and of the decentralized sector. This is all about cotton fabric. Hence, cheap and abundant labor too was available locally. The machinery required for a cotton textile mill could be directly imported from England. Subsequently, two more mills, the Shahpur Mill and the Calico Mill, were established in Ahmedabad. By 1947, the number of mills in India went up to 423, but the scenario changed after partition and this industry suffered a major recession. This was due to the fact that most of the good quality cotton growing areas had gone to West Pakistan and India was left with 409 mills and only 29% of cotton producing area. So this was the passage. Let us see the questions that follow. India was left with the only dash of the cotton producing are at the time of partition. A part 15%, B part 35%, C part 50%, D part 29%. The correct answer is D part 29%. Question 12. What factors led to the development of cotton textile industry in India? A part, favorable climatic conditions. B part, all of these. C part, abundant skilled labor. D part, cheap and abundant labor. All A, C and D were available in India. So the correct answer is B part, all of these. Question 13. What did Britisher exports to the mills in Manchester and Liverpool? A part, cotton garments. B part, raw cotton. C part, fine cotton cloth. D part, fine threads. The correct answer is B part, raw cotton. Question 14. In which year was the first modern cotton mill established in India? A part, 1914. B part, 1816. 1869. C part, 1872. D part, 1854. And the correct answer is D part, 1854. Question 15. Where was the first modern cotton mill established in India? A part, Punjab. B part, West Bengal. C part, Gujarat. D part, Mumbai. The correct answer is D part, Mumbai. What factors led Mumbai to flourish as the cotton textile manufacturing center? A part, all of these. B part, availability of labor. C part, it was located close to the cotton producing area. D part, it was a financial center and capital required to start an industry was available here. Since B, C and D all are correct, so the correct answer is A part, all of these. Question 17. Where were the two subsequent textiles, the Shahpur mill and the Calico mills? A part, Madras. B part, Mumbai. C part, Calcutta. D part, Ahmedabad. The correct answer is D part, Ahmedabad. Question 18. How many mills were established in India by 1947? A part, 500. B part, 700. C part, 423. D part, 225. The correct answer is option C, 423. Let us start with the writing section. Question number 19 to 23 are based on the given text. Read the text carefully and answer the questions. The president of the Cultural Forum of a school writes a notice about an inter-school orchestra competition on the Silver Jubilee celebrations of the school. Question. Pick the odd one out. A notice should contain all necessary details such as A part, date and subject. B part, salutation. C part, authorized signatory. D part, issuing body. Option B, salutation, is the odd one out. It is not mentioned in a notice. We do not give any type of salutation in the notice. Question 20. Points that should be mentioned in the notice. A part, name of the sponsors. B part, participants limit. C part, the last date of submission of the entry forms. D part, date and time. E part, provision of lunch and dinner. F part, venue. The correct answer is option B, which has got B, C, D and F. That means a notice should have participants limit. The last date of the submission of entry forms should be mentioned. Date and time should be mentioned. And even F part, the venue should be mentioned. So option B is the correct answer. Question 21. Which is the way to start the body of this notice? A part, this is to threaten. B part, this is to inform. C part, being a regular reader of your newspaper. D part, through the column. Option B, this is to inform, is the correct starting of the notice. Question 22. Who will sign this notice at the end? A part, the principal of the school. B part, all of these. C part, head boy, head girl of the school. D part, the president of the cultural forum. Since this Notice is being written by the president of the cultural forum. He is the person who will sign it. So option D is the correct answer. Question 23. Would this notice reflect the name of the school? A part, no, because the title makes it clear. B part, yes, because it is the issuing body. C part, yes, because it makes it informal. D part, no, because it is understood through the signature. The correct answer is yes, because it is the issuing body. So the name of the school is very important in the format of writing the notice. Question number 24 to 30 are based on the given text. Read the text carefully and answer the questions. To have a fair complexion is an obsession in our society. Demand for fair brides in matrimonial columns and the sale of fairness creams are evident enough. You are writing an article expressing your views on this topic. Question 24. Select the option that lists an appropriate title for this article. Number 1, Fairness and Obsession in Society. Number 2, Beautiful Mind Better Than a Fair Complexion. Number 3, Racism, New Package, Old Thought. 4, Fair Complexion is Always Alluring. The correct answer is the most appropriate title will be option 2, that is Beautiful Mind Better Than Fair Complexion. Question 25. Which among the following options should be apt for this article? To begin with the strongest point. Number 2, using long and complex sentences. Number 3, abstaining from giving a personal opinion. Number 4, repetition of ideas to emphasize a point. Option 1 is the correct option, to begin with strongest point, and option 1 is there in the D part, so option D, which has option 1 written in it, that is the correct answer. Question 26. Which of the options needs to be elaborated on for this article? Number 1, beautiful mind is better than complexion. Number 2, attitude towards life matters. Number 3, money knows no complexion. Number 4, society's behavior and mentality. The correct option is A, which has got 1, 2 and 4 points elaborated in the article. That is, a beautiful mind is better than complexion. Attitude towards life matters. And number 4, society's behavior and mentality. Question 27. Which is an ideal sequence for organizing the relevant ideas for this article? Number 1, present a complete analysis of the subject matter in question, refer to some startling facts, discuss its cause and effects, use facts and figures to conclude. Option 2, open with precise introduction, present some startling facts or instances, a complete analysis of the subject in question, focus on current scenario and its causes and effects, and then conclude with some art piece. Option 3, open with an art piece, move on to facts and figures, explanation for the change in taste, justify the current scenario, discuss cause and effect of digital media. Number 4, long introductory note, a complete analysis of the subject, present personal views and suggestions supporting digital media, end with a quote. According to the article writing code, when we follow the coder, we should always start with a precise introduction. So option B is the correct option. Question 28. Which clues from those given below would be appropriate for this article? A part, preference of a particular complexion which shows the shallowness. Option B is all of these. Option C, a new trend followed in the West. People there like be tanned skin. D. Strive to be educated, talented. The rest will take its course. Option A, C and D all are equally important and appropriate for this article. So option B, which has all of these written, is the correct option. Question 29. To make this article interesting, which of the following can be used? Number 1, using long sentences throughout. Number 2, using quotes and instances. Number 3, asking rhetorical questions. Point 4 is using formal language. If you want to make an article interesting, it should be interesting with the reader's viewpoint. Long sentences and formal language will definitely make things boring. So option 2 and option 3 are the correct. Option 2 and 3 is mentioned in B part, so B part is the correct answer. Question 30. Which of the following quotes summarize the central idea of this article? 1. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, quoted by Plato. Option 2. White lies always introduce others of a darker complexion. William S. Pelle said this. Option 3. It is not our difference that divides us, it is our inability to recognize, accept and celebrate those differences. Audre Lorde quoted this. Option 4. Let us live for the beauty of our own reality. Charles Lamb quoted this. Option 3 is the correct option. It actually summarizes the whole article's idea that should be there, and it reflects that. Option 3 is the correct answer. So option C is correct. Let us start with literature. Question number 31 to 35 are based on the given text. Read the text carefully and answer the questions. Whenever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. Children grow up in them becoming partners in survival. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of fine art. Question 31. What does the speaker mean by transit homes? A. None of these. B. Permanent homes. C. Waterproof homes. D. Temporary homes. The correct answer is D. Temporary homes. Question 32. Who are they here? A. Children. B. None of these. C. Poor people. D. Sahib and his family. The answer is option C. Poor people. Question 33. What does survival mean in Simapuri? A. Shoe polishing. B. Bangle making. C. Rag picking. D. Begging. Simapuri is known for rag picking, so option C is correct. Question 34. Children who grow up in transit homes become A. Friends. B. Partners in survival. C. None of these. D. Partners in crime. Option B is the correct answer, partners in survival. Question 35. Who has acquired the proportions of fine art? A. None of these. B. Begging. C. Rag picking. D. Food search. Here the correct answer is C. Rag picking. This whole extract was based on the second chapter, that is the Law Spring. Question number 36 to 40 are based on the given text. Read the text carefully and answer the questions. The next I remember, I was lying on my stomach beside the pool vomiting. The chap that threw me in was saying, but I was only fooling. Someone said, the kid nearly died. Be all right now, let's carry him to the locker room. Several hours later, I walked home. I was weak and trembling. I shook and cried when I lay on my bed. This is from the chapter Deep Water. Let us quickly see the questions. Question 36. The author was trembling with A part fear, B part anger, C all of these, D part joy. The author was trembling with fear. A part is the correct option. Question 37. Where was the author lying? A. Beside the pool. B. Beside the sea. C. On the beach. D. On the bench. The correct answer is beside the pool. Option A is correct. Why was the author vomiting? A part, because he nearly died. B part, none of these. C part, because of drowning inside the pool. D part, because the chap threw him in water. The correct answer is C part, because of drowning inside the pool. Question 39. Where was the author carried to? A part, hospital. B part, home. C part, swimming pool. D part, locker room. The correct answer is D part, locker room. Question 40. Which word from the following is the antonym of stabilize? A part, trembling. B part, weak. C part, shook. D part, chap. The correct answer is A part, trembling. Question number 41 to 45 are based on the given text. Read the text carefully and answer the questions. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn around their parlor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky hair of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from the desk. At the back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. Question 41. The gusty waves most likely indicate A. Drudgery and dullness, B. Animation and alertness, C. Verve and brightness, D. Survival and struggle. Here the correct answer is C. Verve and brightness. The poet in the above lines means to say that these children, the children of slum areas, were far, far away from any type of brightness or positivity in life. Question 42. The phrase weighed down head does not refer to being A part ashamed at her plight, B part distressed due to difficulties, C part dizziness with headache, D part burdened by poverty. The correct answer is C part, dizzy with headache. The tall girl sitting in the slums classroom was ashamed at her flight. She was distressed due to difficulties. She was burdened with the poverty-stricken life that she was living in. So C part does not refer to the weighed down head. Question 43. Pick the option that matches the words and phrases with the literary device. So one side we can see the phrases like rootless weeds, B is paper seeming boy, C is reciting. At the other side we have got the literary devices of metaphor, pun, synecdoche and simile. Over here simile is incorrectly spelled, my mistake, it's S-I-M-I-L-E. Let us quickly see the options. A part, A is 4, B is 2, C is 1. B part, A is 4, B is 1, C is 2. C part, A is 1, B is 4, C is 3. And D part, A is 2, B is 1 and C is 3. Let us quickly see the table. Like rootless weeds, we know whenever a poet uses the poetic device, simile, he uses like and as in his poem. So A part is matched with number 4, that is simile. B part, paper seeming boy. Paper seeming boy means just thin, like a paper. So where we do not use like and as, but we are still comparing it with something, then that is a metaphor. So here B is a metaphor, that is 1. Option C, reciting. Reciting here has been used giving multiple meanings. Multiple meaning at one time means something else, the other time it means something else. Here it has been used as a pun because it is reciting in the class as well as reciting his father's Nal disease. It's talking about a small boy in the slum classroom. So option C is a pun. So accordingly, option B is the correct answer. Question 44. Pick the option that enumerates the tone of the poet in this extract. Number 1, apprehensive. Number 2, compassionate. Number 3, resentful. Number 4, thoughtful. Number 5, disillusioned. Number 6, woeful. Here in the whole poem, when we go through it, we come to know that the poet was actually very bothered about the children of the slums. He was very sad to see their condition. So here he was compassionate, he had love for these children, he was very thoughtful, and he was woeful. Woeful means to be full. He wants to express, he was full of sorrows. He wanted to express his sorrow. He wanted to bring about a change. So option D is the correct answer. Question 45. Which children are referred to in the above lines? A part, slum children. B part, children of an orphanage. C part, children of an asylum. D part, street children. Here the correct answer is A, slum children. Read the given extract to attempt questions that follow. He said I was unhappy. That made my wife kind of mad. But he explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and all the rest of it, and that I just want to escape. Well, who doesn't? Everybody I know wants to escape, but they don't wander down into any third level at Grand Central Station. But that's the reason, he said, and my friends all agreed. Everything points to it. They claimed my stamp collecting, for example, that's a temporary refuge from reality. Well, maybe, but my grandfather didn't need any refuge from reality. Let us see the questions. This extract is from the chapter third level. This is the first chapter. Question 46. Why did Sam's verdict make Charlie's wife mad? A part, it made it difficult for her to accept that Charlie would consult a psychiatrist. B part, it seemed to suggest to her that she was the cause of Charlie's unhappiness. C part, it made her aware of Charlie's delicate state of mind. D part, it offended her that Charlie and Sam collectively accused her. Option B is the correct answer, where it seemed to suggest to her that she was the cause of Charlie's unhappiness. That is why she uh, kind of felt a little mad. Question 47. Sam's explanation to the reaction of Charlie's wife was not A, critical, B, aggressive, C, clarifying, D, accusatory. The correct answer is C, clarifying. Question 48. Select the option that signifies the condition of people of the modern world mentioned in the extract. Number 1, unsure. Number 2, lazy. Number 3, offensive. Number 4, anxious. Number 5, afraid. The correct answer is D part, which has got options 1, 4 and 5. That is unsure, anxious and afraid. People of the modern world have the feeling of insecurity. They want to escape from the fear, insecurity. They are not sure about their life, their future. So they remain anxious and they fear for everything. So option D is the correct option. Question 49. Select the option that displays a cause-effect set. A part, Charlie stamp collecting. The effect was wandering into third level. B part, everybody wants to escape. This is the cause. The effect is modern world is full of insecurity. C part, cause is Charlie is wandering into the third level. The effect was Charlie's stamp collecting. D part, cause modern world is full of insecurity and the effect is that everybody wants to escape. Option D is the correct answer, where the cause is modern world full of insecurity. This is the cause, and the effect of it is that we all want to escape from this type of insecure life. Question 50. Why didn't Charlie's grandfather need refuge from reality? A part, he was too busy to bother. B part, he had chosen to deny his reality. C part, he lived in peaceful times. D part, he was a very secure person. Option C is correct. He lived in peaceful times. This was the time before any war. Question 51. The poet asked the reader to count up to dash. This is from the poem Keeping Quiet. Options are A 15, B 20, C 40, D 12. Here the correct answer is 12. The poet asked the human race to count up to 12 in the poem. The number 12 here actually signifies the existence of 12 months of a year and also 12 hours on the face of the clock. So here the correct answer is 12. Question 52. What is the impact of war on the people of Alsace, a district in France? In the chapter The Last Lesson. The last lesson is the first chapter of the book Flamengo. The options are A part, they are deprived of food and clothing. B part, they are deprived of their national identity. C part, they are deprived of public conveyance. D part, they are deprived of education. The correct answer here is they are deprived of their national identity. Option B. The war had actually deprived the people of France in the city of Alsace of their national identity. Due to the fact that children would be taught only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, being Frenchmen, they would not be allowed to have a new education in French, which implies the fact that they were denied their nationality, their national identity. So option B is correct. Question 53. What does the narrator recall from the story once told by a man from Udipi in the prose Lost Spring? A part, the man's prayers as a boy for a pair of bangles. B part, the man's prayers as a boy for a pair of socks. C part, the man's prayer as a boy for a pair of shoes. D part, the man's prayer as a boy for a pair of glasses. Option C is the correct answer. The man's prayer as a boy for a pair of shoes. This is the correct answer. In the chapter, the narrator in the first part of Lost Spring recalls the story of a man from Udipi who used to pray for a pair of shoes when he was a boy at a temple where his father was a priest. The narrator's encounter with these children who were bare feet relived the memory of this man's prayer. Question 54. According to the prose Deep Water, why did William's mother warn him against learning to swim at the YMCA? Option A, because the Yakima River was very shallow and had very little water. B part, because the Yakima River was treacherous and many had drowned. C part, because the Yakima pool was very dirty and had snakes. D part, because the Yakima River was very small. So the correct option is option B, that is because the Yakima River was very treacherous and many had drowned. In this chapter, William's mother warned him against his decision to learn to swim at the YMCA because she thought that he would be exposed to Yakima River, which was very treacherous, and many had drowned in that river. She did not want her son to face any type of danger, and she continually warned him against any type of dangers. So she was against his learning to swim at the YMCA. Question 55. What kind of life do children living in the slums have an elementary school classroom in a slum? A part, full of care and warmth. B part, all of these. C part, hopeless and full of struggle. D part, full of love. Here the correct answer is hopeless and full of struggle. The life of school children in the slum areas was miserable as seen by the poet Stephen Spender. They were deprived and they were impoverished. They were caught in the vicious circle of poverty and were condemned to dismal life forever. So, as shown, as depicted in the poem, their life was hopeless and full of struggle. So, option C is correct. Question 56. The name of the main character in The Enemy is A part Yumi, B part Dr. Sadao Hoki, C part Hana, D part The Prisoner of War. The correct answer is Dr. Sadao Hoki. Dr. Sadao is the main character because the entire story revolves around him. The plot is so written and so woven around his house and the dilemma that he faces, that as a doctor, whether he should treat the American prisoner of war, that is the enemy side, as a doctor, or to not treat him and treat him as an enemy. So the main character here is Dr. Sadao. Question 57. In the third level, why did Charlie need to speak to his psychiatrist friend on discovering the third level of Grand Central? A part, he felt it was an illusion. B part, he informed him his departure. C part, because Sam too had been there. D part, he felt that it was a nightmare. Here the correct answer is A part, he felt it was an illusion. The third level had never been spoken of in any newspaper or by anyone. The third level, according to people and the rail people, the railroad people, authorities and all, there was no third level where Charlie had been to. Therefore, having visited the third level, Charlie felt that it was some kind of illusion that his mind was forcing him into, and was so assured by his psychiatrist friend whom he had consulted about it. So A part is the correct answer. Question 58. What does the poet want the people to do for a second in the poem Keeping Quiet? A part, to close eyes and dream. B part, to sit down. C part, to be silent and motionless. D part, to sing and dance. The correct answer is C part, to be silent and motionless. Here in the poem, the poet wanted everybody in the planet to be silent and motionless for a minute, for he strongly felt that it would save the world. The moment would create a sense of togetherness or oneness, which is most desirable for the survival of the earth and its inhabitants. So the correct answer is C part, to be silent and motionless. Question 59. Why did Henna help Dr. Sadao in treating the wounded enemy soldier? A part, because she liked the American soldier. B part, as Dr. Sadao was not perfectly skilled. C part, because Henna was an impeccable wife. D part, because she was pursuing nursing. The correct answer is C, because Henna was an impeccable wife. In this chapter, Henna was a very, very supporting wife and stood by her husband in all his decisions. She helped her husband, Dr. Sadao, when he was operating upon the enemy. Question 60. Why was realization painful in the poem My Mother at 66? A part, she noticed that her mother was sleeping with her mouth open. B part, because the poet was driving to Cochin Airport from her parents' home. C part, she thought that her mother was no longer beautiful. D part, she realized that her mother was growing old and nearing death. The correct answer is option D. She realized that her mother was growing old and nearing death. The realization that her mother was growing old is was very painful because it brought with her thoughts, a distressing thought that her mother was nearing death and death's cruel hands would separate her from her mother. So this realization was very painful. The correct answer is option D. I hope this sample paper, I solved this for you, was a helpful one. The next sample paper will be an unsolved one. I'll provide you the answers at the end so that you are able to do the paper as I read it. Do take good care of yourself, prepare well, have good food, lot of soup, lot of vegetables. All the best.